Welcome to my show. My name is Marcell Johnson, and this is the Freedom Experience.
Man, y'all gotta see behind the scenes. This dude's funny, man. What's going on, bro? First of all, thank you guys for tuning in to the Freedom Experience. It's been such a pleasure and it's been such a journey of just growing and all the different guests and all the different people that's been on here. It's really been a blessing, and I appreciate every single person for watching. I ask that you would comment on this episode on all of them, that you would like them, and that you would subscribe to the channel and tell your friends about it, because we are elevating and growing. You feel what I'm saying? But today, man, I'm excited because I have somebody here who is not just here like in the studio and on, you know what I mean, camera for y'all, but that's on earth. My bro had a near-death experience, man, where he basically died, came back to life, and man, the story's crazy. We about to get into it, but thank you guys for tuning in. What's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Thank you for coming, bro. I appreciate it. You're a busy man, but you know what I'm saying? You made time to be a part of the Freedom Experience, so that means a lot. But my bro's name is Ishmel. That's what I call him, Ish. That's what we're going to call him. And, man, he's an entrepreneur in the making. You know what I'm saying? He's just an activist of so many different things. And what I like to just think about him is just like a wizard, because my bro is super smart. Ask him anything you want to know, and I promise you got an answer, but y'all about to check it out and see. But, man, first of all, where do we start with you, bro? Like, my bro has a testimony. Let's just start with entrepreneur. We're going to start with entrepreneurship, because I love, even the way he operates as an entrepreneur is smart, because he's not just jumping into it for clout. A lot of people just start businesses for clout, but my bro is taking his time. What are some of the reasons why you're taking your time instead of just jumping into it? And what are some things you want to do as far as entrepreneur?
I'm taking my time mostly because anytime that you're making these executive decisions and you know, you're putting your financial stability at risk anytime you start a business, you always want to be certain that you're making the right moves as best as you can. You know, I'm not like a professional businessman or anything like that. And, you know, I have a rudimentary understanding of the business world. So I always want to try to do my research, and I always want to look before I leap anytime that I'm trying to go off into any venture.
Yeah, and I think that that's smart. A lot of people don't realize that's the smartest thing you can do, because when you start a business after you did the research, that means you'll have a successful business instead of tweaking. But let's back up a little bit to just like some of the things you overcame and some of the things that even helped you get here. My bro was incarcerated for how long?
Roughly 8 years.
8 years, bro. So bro was incarcerated for 8 years. Tell me about just the mindset that it took to be able to go through that and then come out and still be so solid and so strong.
You know, anytime you're in a position like that, you have to be understanding of other personalities. That's the biggest part of, you know, surviving a situation like that, is understanding when you're coming in contact with 2,000 other individuals that everyone will have an individual personality. Everyone's going to have their ups and their downs. Everyone's going to have their good days, their bad days. And, you know, you got to learn how to fill people out so you can navigate a little easier through a situation like that.
And I always say this about bro, like, he's a discerner of spirits. So you put him in a room and he'll just scope. Like, usually he'd be quiet, sitting to himself, observing. And now I understand a little bit more why you have that mentality, because being around all them people, you had to sit back and observe it. What are some of the things you did while you were in there to kind of stall time, or to kind of occupy the space and the time that you were having?
The biggest thing for me, like my favorite pastime, was exercise. You know, you can never go wrong building your body.
For sure.
I also, you know, took some classes, learned some things, read some books. You can never go wrong building your mind. Anytime that you're in prison, you definitely don't want to let your time go to waste. You always want to come out a better man than you were when you went inside. You know, whatever that means for you is up to you, but you definitely don't want to leave after 5, 10 years and you're still the same person that you were before you went in.
Wow. And I think like besides just even being in jail, being incarcerated for 8 years, just having that mindset in general. You don't want to be the same person you were 8 years ago. A lot of people take pride in that. Like, I'm the same person. Ain't nothing changed with me. And it's just like, you need to be growing. You need to be letting stuff go and developing a new way of thinking. So did you have any like mentors or anybody in there that just looked out, that just was teaching you? Or you just was just self-discovery and just figuring it out?
I believe everyone that you come in contact with is a mentor in some way, shape, or fashion.
Yeah.
You know, a wise man will try to grow and receive knowledge from anyone. Even a fool has some knowledge to offer you.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that there's a Bible verse that says, even a fool is considered wise if he shuts his mouth. A lot of times just being silent and observing makes you more wiser than everyone in the room, just because you're the observer. You know what I mean? You don't always have to speak up. And I love the fact you're humble to be like, everybody's a teacher. That's the way I look at my life. Like, we're all students and teachers. We're all learning and learning, like, you know what I mean? Teaching and learning at the same time. But did you have any relationships while being in jail that you still have to this day or no?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Usually anytime I come across an individual that, you know, seems genuine and, you know, over the years being incarcerated with these people, you know, they have opportunities to show you whether they're genuine, whether they're, you know, dealing with you for the wrong reasons or anything of that nature. Like, I still have several people that I'm still in contact with. I have a JPay app on my phone, list of individuals who, you know, I try to help whenever I can. You know, I send whatever I can afford to send them.
That's love.
And, you know, anytime they call me, I try to pick up, you know, hear them out.
Yeah. That's hard because there's also, it's like Bible verses be flooding my mind, but there's a Bible verse that talks about to remember people who are in jail or in situations like that. How was it in jail? Were you being supported by family, or did you feel isolated and kind of abandoned?
Yes, I definitely was supported by my family.
Let's go.
You know, they've always been there for me through all the ups and downs, all my good decisions and bad. You know, and that's what's important to me.
How important is it for people who are out of jail but have relatives or people they care about in jail? How important is it if you can tell them to reach out or to even care, even if you can't do money, just writing or calling, or, you know what I'm saying? How important is that?
Just hearing a loved one's voice at the time of, you know, I mean, technically it may not be your exact lowest point in life, but it is a pretty bad time for anyone.
Facts.
Hearing someone's voice that you care about, you know, some encouraging words or, you know, just the support. That's what, you know, that's what people remember. That's what people hold on to. It's not always financial or anything like that. Whatever you can send someone is definitely going to be beneficial to them.
A blessing,
you know, everyone's not always seeking that.
So it's like everybody in jail is not always expecting you to give money. Sometimes they just want your time, your attention, your love, support. You know what I mean? So reach out. I try to reach out and, you know what I mean, write my friends, or now they be on Facebook. So now I can just, and you know what I mean, be a messenger. But I love the fact that you're able to speak to people who's at home who maybe thinks like, well, they're in jail, out of sight, out of mind. And it's like, no, like still hit them up. It's important. And even like, I'm fast forwarding real quick, but I'm going to bring it back. Being in the hospital, and when he had like a near-death experience, being in there, COVID was happening. So nobody even could come and see you. I remember we tried to come and see you and check you out, but we couldn't even come. How bad was that as far as being in there and being isolated during COVID in the hospital?
To be honest with you, I remember very little of it. You know, I had a brain injury. My memory still isn't the same, but at that time it was even worse. And I do remember that I actually did have COVID at the time, so it was best that I didn't have a lot of visitors.
True.
But, you know.
So basically the blessing is he wasn't even cognitive of most of the time he was by himself. But when I'm thinking about, but to back up real fast, just the bad decisions that it took for you to be incarcerated and to go to jail and stuff like that, what are some of the things, because we're all fighting a fight, what are some of the things you learned from that that you can teach somebody who's younger or somebody who might, you know what I mean, need to hear that?
The biggest thing that I took away from it was that you have to be mindful of each and every decision that you're making in life. Even the seemingly unimportant ones at the time can sometimes shape your life and sometimes lead you into circumstances that you could avoid if you sit down and think and take your time and, you know, try to make the decisions, based off of logic and intellect instead of emotions.
Come on, bro. So many people are just in bad situations based off of their emotion. You know what I'm saying? Based off of how they feel. And I think that's super smart to just learn that. Like, listen, I need to make decisions that are beneficial for my future, not decisions that I feel like I want to do right now. But sometimes it's hard. But something that you learn is just to kind of do better. Ultimately, I love that because a lot of people get out of jail, especially after 8 years, and go right back and continue to go because they're like, you know what I mean? I forgot, like a jail mentality. What do they call it? When somebody just keeps going back and they're just like a career criminal in a way.
What, institutionalized?
Institutionalized. So what helped you to make the decision like, listen, that's not where I want to be and I want to move forward. You know what I'm saying? I want to be different. Like, I'm not going back there. What helps you stay in that place?
I mean, to be honest, everyone has that instinct to not want to go to jail. And if you've ever been to jail,
Facts.
you also have the instinct that, okay, I never want to come back here. I mean, but, you know, the biggest part of it is, you know, like I said, thinking about your actions, you know, understanding the consequences of these actions, understanding that anytime you set foot outside or anytime that you wake up in the morning and get out of the bed, that you have to be calculating, you have to be intelligent. Like, you can't just make decisions and not think them all the way through.
I love that.
This is the biggest downfall of most men, is making decisions without thinking them all the way through.
Making decisions without thinking them through. But you know what? I like to think like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times, especially, and I don't like to make excuses for anybody, but growing up as a black man in the black community, we're both from the same neighborhood. From the hood, you're not really like taught. It's almost like systematically implemented in your mind to make bad choices. And it's so sad that it's like you have to be broken out of it. It's like a generational curse you got to be broken out of. And I think like you growing up and being young and making the bad decisions, it's helped you to now be able to teach other people to not make them. You know what I mean? We need people to go back. This is the reason why I do what I do, so I can show people and I can be a representation of just my neighborhood and where I came from. Like, bro, you know what I mean? Wise up. Like bro said, pay attention to the decisions you're making so you can make better ones. Then you can go help other people. But as a kid, what are some of the things you dealt with, some of the traumas you had to face and go through that you kind of are either still working through or you kind of was able to, like, you know what I'm saying, realize this is a trauma and I need to put some energy towards it as far as working it over, getting over it?
I mean, now as an adult looking back on those years when I was younger, you know, just the environment in and of itself was trauma.
Facts.
Like
Facts it was.
seeing things and allowing them to shape you. Allowing them to shape the person you become. This is what, you know, what I remember most is seeing, you know, all of the negative things that come with living and growing up in the hood, you know, selling drugs, carrying guns, shootouts, you know, so on and so forth. And it's like you can either allow it to make you or it can break you. You know, it definitely was some of the violence that makes me stay away from that area now, because it's like anytime that you're in an environment where that's a possibility, you're in the wrong environment.
Come on. Bro, like, this is what I'm saying. just that environment alone, and it's like a spirit's over that atmosphere, and you know it, and it's just like either you're a part of it or you just deny it and you reject it and you come out of it, and that's what you did. That's the reason why I'm like, he is smart, and he's somebody who I think is a great representation of just how your life can be transformed. But I know also too a childhood trauma, because I was short as growing up, right? And I didn't start getting a little bit taller till maybe like high school. You feel me? But I know me and you talked even offline from that, and just having to always feel like you're shorter than other people and having to really fight through that for people who might be overweight or shorter or anything. How do you deal with insecurity like that?
Well, my outlook on it has always been, insecurity is only within you. You know what I mean?
On.
If you feel insecure about it, then you'll be insecure about it. It'll be something that you dwell on, or be something that you think about often. But certain things in life are inexplicable, and they're not within your power to change. So if you do have any flaws that you see within yourself, the only thing that you can do is learn to accept yourself for who you are, learn to love yourself for who you are.
Come on.
And, that's what's important, is your own outlook on yourself. Like if you don't have positive thoughts and feelings about yourself, then how could you expect the world to?
Come on, bro. Like, it's like God is using your mouth right now to be able to set people free, because so many people wonder why they have so much like mental health issues. And it's because you're obsessing about your insecurities and realizing that God doesn't even see you that way. You know what I'm saying? And like he just said, how can you expect the world to see you in a good light when you don't even see yourself in a good light? And I was just listening or reading something today, and it was from somebody who said, they said that stress, anxiety, it comes from, it's like your circumstances are begging for you to pay attention to them and fix them and work on them. And like he said, my height, my whatever is like out of some certain things are out of your reach to change, right? And she said that whenever you try to focus on your circumstance that you can't change, it will drive you crazy. But when you focus on God, he'll transform your circumstance, or he'll give you a different perspective about it where you'll have peace. And I was just sitting there like, even as of today, I'm like, that is one of the hardest things for me to do, is to like take my eyes off my circumstance and just on to God so that he can change it. But every single time I did it, it always changed. And I love that. It's how I know that you had to have a revelation from God to be able to say, this is something I can't change. I'm going to see myself basically the way God sees me, and just have that confidence that just comes from being a child of God and being on earth, and literally shifting it. Now, nobody even pays attention to that. Everybody respects bro. He's like a boss. You feel me? Because it's just like, he thinks he's a boss. He has the boss spirit in him. So you got to kind of first transform on the inside, and then it'll show up on the outside. But I want to get into this near-death experience, bro. Because when that happened, I remember it like yesterday, like me hearing about it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that survived that accident. It was crazy. But you was projected out of the front windshield, right?
Right.
And then he was in a hospital. So I didn't hear about it till he was in a hospital. You know what I mean? And we all, the family, we all was praying for you, covering you. Then he got COVID while he was in there, like he said. It was crazy. But take me through how you felt, and take me through sort of that experience.
To be honest with you, I remember very little of the actual accident.
Yeah.
The things that I do remember of the accident, it was more as if it was a dream. Like I remember I was in a coma after the accident for maybe a week or two.
Yeah.
And everything that happened during the accident was basically playing in my head as a dream. So when I woke up out of my coma and, everyone's telling me what happened, I'm like, wow, that coincides with what I dreamed. So it's like some of the details were different, but, it was pretty much the same for the base of it.
That's so crazy, and even I remember him telling me this like a little bit closer to when it happened. And he was telling me how basically whenever he like went through the windshield, he basically died, and they had to get him and take him to the hospital. That was crazy. And then while he was in a coma, he was having like that dream and that experience. And what happened was God showed him, it's like he was standing outside of himself watching the accident happen all together. God showed him how everything happened. He went through the windshield, and then when you went through the windshield, he said he was on the ground, and he saw himself on the ground, and that's when God asked him, do you want to live or do you want to die? And you chose.
I was at peace at the time. I chose death.
He chose to die, y'all. Like, he was over. He was like, listen, I'm done. Like, okay, you're asking me, do I want to live or die? I want to just die. Let me come home. But God had another plan. He woke up. God, at that moment, God woke you up out of the coma. And then when he woke up out the coma, y'all, he told me he felt like the hospital experience was like him dying and coming like to heaven or to a different experience. Like, okay, I must have died and this is the new me, because you had to learn how to walk again. He had so many different brain injuries. It was crazy. Your hearing and stuff was kind of off. He went through so much stuff and he felt like, this is me having to like die and come back to life. Like, I guess I chose death. So I guess this is what, you know what I mean, dying looks like. He thought that he was like really living another life. We had to keep telling you like, bro, you're not dead. This is real life. How tough was that? Thinking that you were dead and you were just living like a new life, and then it actually really being your life.
I mean, anytime you lose touch with reality in that fashion, it's definitely going to be hard to get it back. It's like, it took some time for me to actually have some distance from that accident and actually like focus on the environment around me, like the things that were going on in the world.
Yep.
I had to really sit down and think like, am I still alive?
Wow.
Like, there were times where I did believe that I actually did die and that this was an alternate reality that I somehow was shunted into after I died. Like, I don't know.
Wow, bro. But what's crazy is that even though he felt like this must be like an alternate reality and I'm just living this life, it changed him. And he stopped like drinking. He stopped doing certain things, like some of the atmospheres, some of the people he was around. It completely changed him. Take me through that process of what like you were mentally thinking and why you made the decisions to kind of just like change everything. Like cold turkey, like night and day. That's how you know when you have something supernatural happen, when like it just clicks and you just respond. Like, I'm cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that was the closest that I ever came to dying.
Come on.
So when you have a near-death experience like that, and it hasn't been the first time that I've had, you know, not necessarily terrible things happen, but it was definitely a bad experience for me, and
Facts.
it was all because of alcohol. So I had to sit down and like get to the root of the problem. I had to understand what was shaping my life to keep leading me into situations like this, and alcohol was at the base of it. So that's when I made the decision that it was a no for me. It was like, okay, I don't even have the impulse to drink anymore. I don't have like the taste for it. I don't have the desire. It's just, it was out of me in an instant. You know what I mean? But
bro, people like, even family now will be drinking, turned up around, bro. And he'll be like, I'm cool. We'll be chilling. I'll be like, bro, okay, everybody's drinking. And I'll look, it's just chilling. You know what I'm saying? He be on my note. We be the sober ones in the family chilling and watching. But what's crazy is that this is how you know it's supernatural and it's a grace from God. That's why I tell y'all, man, anything you're struggling with, ask God for the grace. Because certain people will go to AA meetings and they'll battle being an alcoholism, being an alcoholic for years, and they can't stop it. So for you to just be like, make a mental shift and just stop, you know what I mean, because of a supernatural experience, that's the grace of God. And I was talking to the one day like, bro, people don't just stop doing something like that. Like, that was like a lifestyle and you just stopped. And I just know that God did that. But what about the friends and the people you were around? What was the mindset behind shifting that and just not being a part of like that turn up or that type of atmosphere?
Well, you know, certain people,
come on,
they shape your atmosphere. Like, if you're around people that are turning up, you know, they want to smoke, drink, party, you're going to be put into an environment that's going to be no longer conducive for your new lifestyle that you're trying to live. Like drugs and alcohol and the party scene, it just doesn't appeal to me anymore because I'm sober. It's like, okay, everyone, when you're, I don't know you know, if you guys feel the same, but when I'm sober, around people who aren't sober, you know, they're drunk and they're acting a fool, it's usually like a turn off for me. It's like, all right, it's time for me to go home.
Facts.
I'd rather be home watching TV or
Chill.
playing my video game or anything. Like, it's like anything's better than this.
Chill, bro. That's so funny because if I hit Ish anytime, it's like he's always in chill mode, but always doing stuff that's productive, either at the gym, you know what I'm saying, or just planning and thinking and doing productive stuff. But the fact that it shifted, because before the accident, I could have caught him. He could have been out chilling, you know what I'm saying? But he just had that supernatural experience. How important is it for, like, when God shows you a new way of living that's cohesive with the lifestyle you want, how important is it for you to follow that direction?
You know, like I said earlier, it's definitely the decisions that you make.
Yeah.
Like, the decisions that you make will shape your life ultimately. So if you want your life to head in a good direction, you make good decisions. You make decisions that are conducive to your mental stability, your physical health, anything that's going to benefit you as in your body as a spirit or just your body in general. Those are the decisions that you want to make.
Yeah.
And you have to want that for yourself.
Wow. Can't know your mom and dad and everybody around you can't want it more than you want it. You gotta want it for yourself.
Right.
And then another thing I was thinking about is, like, you always was covered. It's like there was always a grace over him where like y'all are seeing him right now. And like he said, he's in the process of becoming an entrepreneur, but give him a little bit of time, like season 2 of this show, season 3. And I bet you he's in such a successful position because he's just always been graced and covered. It's like you've always just been, like, God always just gets you out of trouble. He always just makes sure that you are good. What do you think that is? Like, do you think you earned it, or do you think that God's just favor? Like, what would you think it is?
To be honest with you, I would never presume to understand or interpret the thoughts of God.
Come on.
You know, but I do ultimately feel that I am favored. Like, you know, there have been several near-death experiences that I'm still surviving from. There have been several instances where, you know, I could be living a completely different life.
Yeah,
you know
true.
What I mean? And I'm just grateful that I am here and that I am who I am. You know what I mean? That's definitely all through the power of God. You know, if this is his will, then this is what shall be.
Bro, I'm just like filled with joy. I want to just, bro, I'm so turned because to watch your transformation process and then to be a part of it and to just see how you're transforming, it's super exciting to me and it's motivating to me. It motivates me to just keep going because the people I got around me, the family, the circle that's around me, we're all elevating. You're letting go of the past. You know what I mean? There's a Bible verse that says, I no longer pay attention to behind me, or something, I'm summarizing, but I press towards the mark. I leave those things that are behind, and I press towards the mark and I move forward. You know what I mean? So you got to get your eyes on the future. You got to get your eyes on where you want to go, not where you come from. And these are the people that I surround myself around. But I always, bro, like to end the show with asking people to say their words of wisdom. So if you have anything that's like a mantra or just like something that you kind of stand by that is kind of words of wisdom, what would you tell the people?
I probably would just go with, look before you leap. Always think about your decisions.
Look before you leap. Why is that?
Because even the seemingly unimportant ones, there's that phrase again, the seemingly unimportant decisions that you make in day-to-day life, this is what shapes your life. This is what shapes the universe around you.
Wow. The little decisions you make eventually shape the whole atmosphere you're around, and you wake up like, how did I get here? But it's literally because you did daily activities little bit by little bit to be in that situation. So we always go to the negative, but on a positive tip, if you circle and surround your life with small, intentional, positive things that God tells you to do, eventually you'll look up and your life will be blessed. And that's literally the process of my life. I'm no different than y'all. I just make decisions that I think will please God and ultimately what I feel like God is telling me to do. And then it just ends up being successful. Because like he said, I'll never try to think about the thoughts of God in the way he think. But, y'all know man's already. I always tell y'all, man, it's time. Find freedom. It's time. Find God. Let's go. All right, over and out, man. I love y'all so much. Stay tuned, and I ask you to continue to share these episodes, man. We love you. God bless you. And we just pray, man, that you learn how to make some better decisions so that one day you could be sitting next to me and I could be interviewing you. All right? Peace out.
The freedom experience.